I'm Ann Brown, and I have lived in this city for 40 years. I came here as a student, met my husband, and we married. We decided to stay and raise our family, and actually it was at the encouragement of Reverend Garther Roberson. He married us and said at the time, would you consider living in Ypsilanti? And my husband and I both said, sure, so that was 40 years ago, just about, and we have stayed, built a life, and Ypsilanti's been very good. I've been involved in this community for a long time, for a number of years, and served on council previously, but my heart's desire really has been to help people, and that has been since I was a kid. I started serving as a candy striper when I was in junior high school, and from there I just said, you know what, I want to make sure that people's lives are better. And so I came to Eastern, studied, came out, and have worked continuously since then. Actually decided once I worked for 2 state reps that I wanted to really put my heart and soul into public service. I worked in Detroit for a number of years in public health, worked at Park Davis, which became Pfizer, again in public health. But once I started seeing what the issues were in terms of health and community and where they intersected, I realized that we were improving the health of people, but when we sent them back to their homes or communities, they didn't either have the resources and in some cases the capacity to really maintain that. And I thought the change that needs to happen here really is at a policy level, that not in direct service, but at a policy level. So I came back to Washtenaw County and actually met Alma Wheeler Smith, and she was running at that time for the state rep's position. She'd been a state senator, and talked to her about my concerns, the fact that we really need to improve people's health from the policy side, that we were doing as much as we could in direct service, but there were just some policies in place that really didn't enable people to access health care at an affordable cost, that it wasn't convenient because clinics closed at 5 o'clock and sometimes people ended up in the emergency room. So we worked together to really implement some things that would extend community health center hours as well as the affordable piece. And that piece for me is kind of what triggered that, said, you know what, this is the kind of work I want to do going forward. Took that time to really study public administration and just wanted to make a difference. I have studied the budget, I have studied how to develop and write policy, and working for 2 state reps in this community, I did a lot of constituent services, and that really was taking phone calls, listening to people's issues and concerns, translating that, comparing it, actually aligning it to what the policy was, and then going to that direct agency, whether it be Department of Health and Human Services or Public Health or Treasury Department, to resolve those issues for people, and enjoyed that work. Got the opportunity to serve on council, did that for 2 years because Sue Moeller actually resigned, and I went through the application process to serve on council. And during that time period, I'm the kind of person that I always step up and say, you know, what time frame am I working with, what are my limitations, and what can I accomplish in that time period to make a difference. So I knew I had 2 years, so I went on council with the understanding that, one, I wanted to do the resolution for trail towns because I believe that the Huron River is an asset for us and that we need to capitalize on that in the sense that it needs to be an economic driver for us. When people come canoeing, kayaking down the river, we need to make it accessible so that people can stop in Ypsilanti, have lunch, visit the museums, and continue on downriver if they so choose. The other thing was the Sustainability Commission. And that was, I'm a member of the Sierra Club locally as well as nationally. I serve on the National Trade Committee, which is actually working through some NAFTA things right now. And that's been a hairy situation just in the sense that our president has been kind of back and forth with NAFTA, but working on that over the last year has just really heightened my sense of awareness around tariffs for one, and how that impacts the local community, our farmers, like in Superior Township. So it's really been an eye-opening experience for me. But I wanted to do the Sustainability Commission because I support sustainability, I work in that field, and wanted to make sure that our community was progressive, that we were moving in the right direction. So those are just a couple things I did while I was on council. So I think that our team now is ready to get started, so I'm going to take direction from them. But just wanted to give you some background as to who I am and why I'm sitting in this seat and asking for your vote November the 6th.